Hello and welcome. I'm your host Will. Todd McFarlane's Spawn has been around for such a while that naturally a spin-off or two would appear every now and then. And in this video, we're gonna go over the facts of one such spin-off. But instead of talking about how it begins, we're gonna look at how it ends. Let's get to it.
I am not someone who gets excited about retellings or spin-offs. The canon is the canon for a reason, and I thought retellings, more often than not, spoiled the premise and ruined the narrative. That was until I started reading Spawn: The Dark Ages. Written and illustrated by Liam Sharp, Spawn: The Dark Ages is a 6-issue miniseries that is set around the late 5th century in the British Isles. The story is a wonderful blend of fantasy and historical storytelling, with each page illustrated so well, you could easily picture it hanging on a museum wall. It's frankly a breath of fresh air, and as I tell you the story, I have to admit that it is quite bittersweet. While I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, it is sad that it ended, but I'll be looking forward to what Liam does next. I've rambled quite a bit now, so let's get started on the last 2 issues of Spawn: The Dark Ages. The story so far. If you've not read the first 4 issues or don't remember it, don't worry, I've got your back. Our story begins in 479 AD, where King Aurelianus of Winchester is desperate to protect his kingdom. The Saxons have attacked him from the east, the Picts from the north, and the Hibernians from the west. In his desperation, he forges a pact with Earl King Ulegrave, the lord of the pagans and the hellspawn who rules over the old city. Their support in exchange for allowing pagans back into their homes within the kingdom. Aurelianus agrees, and the two ride into Winchester with Danunos, Earl King's druidess. Though their pact is successful, Aurelianus's trusted general Attilius disapproves of the alliance and asks Father Kentigern, the priest, to talk to Aurelianus in the hopes of saving his soul. The father's words fall on deaf ears, and the alliance between Earl King and Aurelianus only grows strong. Danunos, meanwhile, shows him a mystical garden, hiding behind a wall in his own palace. She teaches Aurelianus about pagan gods, mainly Danu, the mother goddess, and how the good Christian priests had besmirched the old gods. A romantic relationship blossoms between the two. Kentigern and Attilius try to discourage Aurelianus from pursuing Danunos and asks him not to turn away from Christ, but the king sees no sense in their words. He believes Kentigern is only concerned about the power of the church and dismisses them both. Kentigern approaches King Horsa of the Saxons and offers the help of the church if he converts. He assures him that Aurelianus has betrayed his people by joining hands with the devil and that he would be bringing peace to God's people if he ended Aurelianus's reign. That is far from the truth, as the people are happy to have their homes back thanks to the Earl King. As the Earl King is cursed to not sleep, Danunos feeds him a magical mixture that will help put him to sleep. Aurelianus's druid, Divixiacus, asks Aurelianus to let go of Danunos, as their union would set his own people against him, as she is a pagan. Meanwhile, Attilius finds out about Kentigern's betrayal, and Danunos eavesdrops on their conversation. She tries to warn Aurelianus, but Attilius stops her. A fight breaks out between the two, and Danunos knocks Attilius out with a chair. Kentigern uses the distraction to sneak up on Danunos and stab her from behind. While this is going on, the king wakes up from a nightmare about Danunos and leaves his chamber to find her. Divixiacus stops him and asks him to return to his chambers. Divixiacus then heads to the mystical garden and stabs the Earl King as he sleeps, apologizing that he must do it for the greater good. The Earl King fights him off by shoving his thumbs into Divixiacus's eyes and stumbles into the city to look for Danunos. As the strength begins to drain from his body, he remains hopeful, as he knows Danunos would help him. 2 hearts broken. Earl King Ulegrave was devastated. He stumbled upon the dead bodies of pagans, the people in his care, littering the streets of Winchester. He was filled with anger and remorse, and he shed silent tears. King Aurelianus is awakened once more, this time by the feeble voice of Danunos. She falls into his arms, her lips darken as life seeps out of her. The king demands to know who did this to her, but she chooses to profess her love to him in her final moments. She tells him that even 1,000 deaths could not break their bond. Aurelianus hugs her corpse and cries, desperately pleading for her not to leave him. He's not the only one pleading that night, as the Earl King calls out to his goddess and mother, Danu. He begs her for new strength so he can do her bidding and tells her that they have both been betrayed. Slowly, strength returns to the Earl King, and his bony, wraith-like body transforms into the muscular hell spawn. Dreaded by his enemies, with his refreshed strength, the Earl King prepares to get his revenge. Attilius rushes into the king's chamber, and Aurelianus notices that he is covered in blood. He immediately suspects Attilius of killing Danunos, but Attilius swears that it was not him. He tells Aurelianus about everything: Kentigern's plot with the Saxon king, the fight between Danunos, and finally, her murder at the hands of Kentigern with great remorse. Attilius adds that though he was not the one who killed her, he had done nothing to protect her. Aurelianus punches Attilius, shocked that his most trusted general and dearest friend knew what the priest was up to, but did nothing to prevent it. He punches Attilius once more and draws his sword, but Attilius refuses to fight him. He did not mind Aurelianus taking his life if it served him better to blame Attilius. Before he dies, however, he wants Aurelianus to know that he truly loves him. He considers Aurelianus to be a friend and a brother, but accuses him of betraying Attilius first by embracing paganism. One thing Attilius is sure of is that there is no greater love than that of Christ, but Aurelianus had turned away from it. Attilius had waited a long time for Aurelianus to find his way back, but he never did. Having heard enough, Aurelianus drove his sword into Attilius's chest. He tells him that his heart has been broken twice, as he truly loved Attilius, irrespective of what god he served, because he remembered that Attilius worshipped a distant mountain in Africa. He leaves Attilius and hugs Danunos' corpse once again. Without her, he feels that there will no longer be any light in his life. Earl King arrives and is shocked to see Danunos dead. He grabs Aurelianus by the throat and declares that he is no longer his king. As he throws him down, he tells him that their pact is broken. Aurelianus assures him that he did not kill her, but Earl King retorts that though he did not use his hands, he was responsible, not just for her death, but for the death of all the pagans in his land. He lifts his fist, ready to reveal his wrath to Aurelianus, but Diviciacus stops them both. Now blind, a bloody bandage covers his eye. The Earl King regrets not killing him when he had the chance, and Aurelianus is eager to join Danunos. However, the two calm down when Diviciacus tells them that she is not completely dead yet. Though nobody in their realm could help her, she could still recover. Diviciacus explains that they are mere puzzle pieces on an ancient board, and Danunos played a greater role, as she was the embodiment of all that had to come. On his instruction, Aurelianus and Earl King carry Danunos into the mystical garden and place her in front of a pagan statue. Mortal endings. Soon, a vision of Danunos visits Aurelianus. She promises that she is always tied to him, like the mist is to the sea and the tide is to the shore. But he needs to let her go. There are a lot of things on Earth he has yet to achieve, and for that, he needs to fight the Saxons and give the eastern lands to the Earl King. She does not wish to see him as a shadow monarch of the damned any longer, so they must ride into battle together one last time. Even though they are at odds with each other, they must do it for Danunos and the future of the Britons. Saying that, Danunos vanishes. Aurelianus and the Earl King are a fierce pair. They strike down any and all men who dare to stand in their way. As his army begins to thin, King Horsa summons Kentigern. As the disloyal priest walks in, the guard asks him to kneel before the king, but he refuses to do so. The king ignores his disrespect and asks him if he can turn the battle as they are being slaughtered. Kentigern has the same thing to say as he did before. He asks Horsa to repent and step out as the true Christian king with Kentigern at his side. He thinks that as soon as the people see a man of God on Horsa's side and a devil by Aurelianus' side, they will desert the latter and flock to Horsa. King Horsa is no fool. He sees through Kentigern's pretty words and stabs him, telling him that he knows all about his fickleness. As Kentigern keels over, Horsa hopes Kentigern pays for his deeds in the most grim way possible, in his beliefs. He then asks his daughter to go prepare, as they must be ready for what is coming. Outside, King Aurelianus and Earl King continue letting their swords speak for them and stack up bodies over bodies. Horsa turns to the blind druid in his tent whose advice he had taken. He wasn't happy about the bargain Diviciacus had offered, but he had accepted it, as he was not in a place to negotiate. He believed forcing his daughter to marry Aurelianus would make her a slave, and his heart was cleaved because of it, but he did not see any other way to ensure her safety. Horsa refuses to accept defeat though, and prepares to march into the battlefield to kill or be killed. Diviciacus approves his choice and tells him that the kingdom of Aurelianus will be united once more. Before he leaves for battle, Horsa asks Diviciacus for his word that his daughter, Aided, will be treated well after her wedding. Diviciacus has no doubt in his mind that she will want for nothing, as Aurelianus is a man of honor who is fair in his judgment and kind when it comes to matters of the heart. His words do not come from mere experience, but through the echoes of the future and the whistles of the wind, which also tells him that Horsa's name will live on for 1,000 more years. Satisfied by the druid's assurance, Horsa walks out, sword in hand. The battle between Aurelianus and Horsa is fierce, but Aurelianus' sword slits his throat in moments. At the end of the day, Aurelianus declares Lord Erlking Ullagrave the king of the easterly lands and thanks him for everything he has done. He asks him permission to call him his friend, and the Erlking replies that he has no idea whether he will even remember him in the years to come. But if a year-long friendship can be true, his echo will reside in his heart and haunt his sleepless nights. Aurelianus returns to Winchester to rule over his people again, now that peace has returned. He walks to his garden, trying to find the door to the mystical garden, but all he finds is a long wall and the roughly grown trees behind it. The comic ends there, but a text wall tells us what happened next. Aedid married Aurelianus, and their union brought peace over the kingdoms of Britons, Picts, and Anglo-Saxons. The legend of Aurelianus grew, and many believe that he was the inspiration for the stories of King Arthur. He had 3 sons, one of whom was murdered while the others became fierce rivals. The king seemed to age rapidly, and in his final years, he would wander the gardens of Winchester Castle, hoping to find the gate to the mystical garden again. One late summer evening, old Aurelianus asked his servants to take him outside so that he could enjoy the sunset. They laid him gently on a dais covered with rose petals and left him alone as per his request. When they returned, they saw that the dais was empty, and nobody ever found King Aurelianus again. A complete end to the story of Aurelianus. There are a lot of reasons I loved Spawn: The Dark Ages. The first one, as I told you, is the wonderful art style. It has a certain je ne sais quoi that makes you believe you are witnessing a real ancient battle. Though there's quite a bit of bloodshed and death in the comics, the gentle colors used kind of downplay it and maintain an overarching picturesque aesthetic. Somebody who knows art will probably have more to say about it. The plot, in and of itself, is very simple and not something extraordinary. The well-rounded characters mostly carry the plot. You can understand where each character is coming from. Aurelianus is driven by his love for Denunos and his people. Father Kentigern cares only about what power he wields. Attilius believes he is doing the right thing and is easily manipulated by Kentigern. He genuinely believed his friend's soul was in danger, and instead of confiding in his friend, he chose to trust a wicked man. These characters are what make the plot worthwhile. They emotionally anchor you to the story and urge you to turn the page. I loved every bit of it, and definitely recommend reading it, especially if you love well-drawn comics and 3-dimensional characters. What was your favorite thing about Spawn: The Dark Ages? Let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please make sure to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back soon with more awesome stuff, but until then, take care and goodbye.